People are actually driving 900 miles and they pay 30-40 bucks for a ticket to watch a movie in a taller rectangle version of it. But why?
What you get is the benefit of the closest sort of technological analog that's ever been created for how the eye sees.
When we say IMAX is a larger screen, it is a twofold thing. One of them is the footage size, the other one is the cinema screen size. When we say the movie was shot for IMAX or on IMAX, it was using the aspect ratio that is actually for IMAX, which is 1.43 to 1 or 1.9 to 1. The other side is a cinema screen, which is using the exact same aspect ratio. When you use the IMAX footage on the IMAX cinema screen, you're getting the full benefit of the IMAX. But IMAX itself is digital and film as well. But why Nolan is obsessed with the film side of things? So here's the thing. The color and the details is one of the most important differentiators between the film and digital.
We initially do the coloring on an analyzer to get us closest to what Chris eventually wants.
Digital color is actually an array of numbers that you put together for a pixel, which is the RGB values, and it is finite by definition. So you cannot capture or create every shade of every color by using the digital cameras or digital projections, even the laser ones. But when you use film, you're subtracting color, and that is a better way of preserving details and colors. IMAX itself started in 1967 by 4 Canadians that founded the company to fix one big problem of the traditional film projectors. Back then, the 70mm film, which was a big frame film, was being ripped apart inside the projectors when it was rolling 24 frames per second. What these Canadians did was they created the horizontal rolling loop system, which basically reduces the speed of the frame and brings it to a full stop, and then increases the speed again and put it back into the loop. For 30 years after the 1970, the IMAX was only used for documentary films, not feature films, until Nolan came to the picture. He used IMAX to shoot only one shot in the Prestige movie, and that was a shot where the character was cutting the finger. I don't want to spoil the movie for whoever hasn't seen that movie yet, but if you haven't, stop this video and go watch that movie. After the Prestige, and when he got the proof of concept that you can use the IMAX cameras in the feature film, he started ramping up the using IMAX in his other films. But still, IMAX cameras had a couple of different problems. The first biggest problem is the sound. These cameras are super loud. That loud noise creates the problem of syncing the sound, or capturing the dialogue, or getting the scene sound or sound effect, or this kind of thing. And that was the reason that the other directors were using the IMAX cameras only for non-dialogue scenes, like landscapes, like car chases, or other wide establishing shots.
The IMAX film load is 2.5 minutes.
The other problem is the magazine of the IMAX has a cap on it, which is 3 minutes. So every 3 minutes, they have to reload the camera again. The other problem is the weight of the camera. It can expand from 50 pounds to 300 pounds cameras. So using the IMAX cameras for handheld shooting is a big problem for the videographer or the cinematographer as well. But Chris Nolan is not a person to back off easily.
Oh, you turned to me during that and you said something I've never been able to forget, which is, this is the quietest scene ever shot on IMAX.
All right.
What he did was he talked with the IMAX company and they created a new generation of the cameras which is 30% quieter. Another thing that they did was they created this box which is called the blimp, and they put it on the camera to reduce the sound even further to about 90% quieter. This way Chris Nolan was able to shoot dialogue scenes, intimate scenes, close-up shots, this kind of things where the sound matters as well. All of these new technologies are paving the way for other directors to adopt IMAX for their movies as well. For example, Dune Part 3 was shot partially on IMAX as well. The Sinners was partially shot on IMAX. Or Tarantino used IMAX partially in The Hateful Eight as well. Another interesting fact is when Oppenheimer was on the screens, only 30 screens around the world was able to project the IMAX 70mm. For Odyssey, that number has increased to 41. That is not a good news in the way that you expect it to be. But let me explain. In my idea, the IMAX is surviving based on solely being scarce. What do I mean by that? It means that for justifying the cost of using IMAX cameras, shooting partially on IMAX and projecting on IMAX 70mm, the whole movie theater should be sold out for a couple of weeks ahead, for even maybe longer time.
People are paying thousands of dollars right now to see the new Odyssey movie.
By increasing the number of cinemas, that probability goes down and down as well. The reason is IMAX CEO came out and they said that we cannot build the projectors for the IMAX 70mm again. That technology is like 50 years old. But there is a way that the IMAX can survive while being scarce. The analogy that I have in mind is the IMAX can grow the way that the national parks are growing. The number of national parks is not gonna go up drastically or exponentially, but the roads to national parks and the accessibility of the national parks is gonna increase for people. So it's gonna reduce the friction to go there, but still, people should want it enough to get in the car and drive and to go to the national park. The same thing is true for IMAX 70mm. I want to expand on it for one more paragraph. Sugar was a luxury thing back in the day for only the royal families in Europe. But after the mass farming started, the sugar became a common thing for common people. Even ice was a luxury thing because the workers had to cut the ice from the frozen lakes and rivers and ship it out to the locations that they wanted ice. But after the machines came around to make ice, and ice became more accessible to more people. I'm not gonna say IMAX 70mm is gonna be sugar or ice that's gonna be everywhere, but it's gonna be like the national park. Watching IMAX 70mm in the cinema is not gonna be as frictionless as watching, I don't know, Netflix or Amazon or streaming services. But it's gonna grow in a way that more directors are gonna use it, so it's gonna give people more options to choose in limited locations. I am willing to drive 460 miles from my home to Nashville to watch the Odyssey on the IMAX 70mm and pay $30 to $40 for it. But are you willing to do that?